So the two on the side here, the two bolts here for the secondary pulleys. I heated. They each had a washer. I heated them up with a torch, and they came out quite easily. The ones at the back here, there's a couple back here, and they're like carriage bolt style. They have like a square end behind the chain here, up in here, and they had these kind of nylon lock washers with a washer. So the secondary clutch, these holes here with those bolts are actually the way that the chain tensioner, if you go up or down in those slots, you move the clutch up and down, which tightens up the chain. So that's where the tensioner for the chain. And this chain is like a double chain. I thought there was two pulleys or two sprockets down here, which there is, but it's a double chain. So there'll be two up here. So this, once I get this, I'll be able to get the chain off now. And I'm not sure, but oh, see, this sprocket here is moving. So I'll be able to pull that sprocket right off and disassemble all of this without any problem, hopefully. Notice that this sprocket here has a washer on the outside. Right there. It's also got a key that goes in the slot right up in here. So there's a key in there that goes up in the slot up in here. And the whole, there's a bushing in here on the pulley there. We'll pull that thing out and have a look at it. So here's the secondary clutch pushed through nearly. There's that bushing I was talking about. I'll take apart this thing and clean it up when I have it on a bench or whatever. Here's the two carriage bolts that hold it on. Notice that there's this part of the frame here. There's a gasket between this piece and this piece of frame. And there's also a gasket between this chain cover and the piece of frame. To take the dash off, I tried using a torch on a bolt and it was a pain in the butt, so I just ground them all off. I have to use new ones, obviously. I'll replace this fuel line and fuel filter, including the fuel filter. It's 6 feet long, and it was electrical taped to this wire, white wire, that's going back to the headlights, to the taillights from up here. So the master link on this chain is pretty subtle. It is this one. It looks like it's this one right here. Notice that it's it looks like it might have a hole in it with a piece of wire in it compared to the others, which are just more flush. And then all of a sudden there's this one. So that we're going to take apart to get the chain off, because it won't fit by that lower sprocket. Yeah, the master link there was a little piece of wire built in, or a little piece of wire bent to an S shape that went through that hole. Sort of an S, went up around one side, came through, went up around the other side. Got the master pin out of the chain, no problem. Now, in order to take off this lower sprocket, we have to basically take off the bearing retaining pieces on the bottom that hold the front part of the track on. So basically, we're going to start basically taking the track off. So I'm going to flip the skidoo, the body onto its side so I can see what's going on under there. They're called bearing locking collars. So you can see there's 3 bolts here. This is the locking collar, I guess. They look like the carriage bolt style. On the other side, it looks like they're probably hidden underneath the chain case in the lower sprocket. So here's the machine up on its side, and here's the front sprocket, whatever you call it. And can't really see them from this angle, but those the bearing retaining thing, whatever it's called, there's the bolts are up in here. I'm hoping that they are not too badly rusted, and the other ones you can't see them, but they're just underneath this sprocket here. This thing actually, nothing appears to be seized up here, which is good, although it doesn't really want to turn around. I'm not going to force it. I'm just going to take it off, go from there. Oh, jeez. And yeah, here's the rear. So we're going to have to get all this stuff off. So here's the rear suspension and track tightening thing. So it looks like if this track tension device here, if I get that bolt completely free of this piece here, which goes through the slot, is welded to this piece here. So if I remove that and remove these 2 locking bolts here on the slot for adjusting the position of the suspension and the rear axle, then if I do that on both sides, I may be able to get this whole rear axle out without having to take it apart as yet. So I got the track tensioner bolt off all right. There's a little nut here that goes in between. It goes through that piece and through this piece, and there's a little nut between the two that is used to keep it where the tension you want it at. So I heated up that little bolt, or the little nut, and I heated up this thing, got it started, and then just used an impact to take it all the way out. So no problems getting these 2 bolts out. Again, they're carriage bolt style with nylon insert locking washers. I heated them up first and then took them off, so that meant that I fried the little nylon thing. So now this thing is, the rear axle is free to come off. I'll do it on the other side, and then I should be able to work this rear axle assembly out of the track. Our rear axle is ready to fall apart. We could get the whole assembly out, but anyway. So our track is now loose, and we'll move our way forward. This is for reference, feature reference. So the 3 bogies appear to be interchangeable, I guess. Don't know for sure. So each one's got these springs here. Notice that this part of the spring comes up through a bracket on the axle. This part of the spring goes underneath here. And they are fastened together by these rubber bungee cord type things. Pretty simple devices. So my plan for these is to clean off these bolts a bit with a wire wheel, and then I'm going to heat them up a lot and see if they'll come off with a good length of bar. Just a note about these bolts holding the bogies on. If I loosened off the other side, Then when I went to loosen off this one, it would turn the whole shaft inside here instead of loosening the bolt off. So I loosened off, then tightened up the other side, and that allowed me to loosen this side off. And then I think I'll take these out now that they're loosened, and then if I use an impact on the other side, it should power them off, because there's quite a bit of resistance. So there's the bogie assembly out of the machine. I put some green tape on the front there toward the front of the machine. Don't know that it makes that much difference. Getting the drive axle off. This is the lower sprocket. There's the 3/8 there. Take that off. In the service manual they talk about 2 set screws. I only see 1. Hopefully that's all, and then we deal with the bearing holding brackets underneath the sled. Yeah, that's the lower sprocket. There was indeed 2 set screws, just one was down below. So this thing is not, happily it was not seized up, the track. Yeah, once I got that second set screw out, the sprocket here is free to move up and down. So I'll get off the axle retaining brackets underneath, which should give me enough room to get this off. Yeah, I got these 3 bolts on each side for these brackets loosened out, no problem. Didn't use any heat because I didn't want to compromise that bearing if there's still any good. So they loosened up, no problem. Now I'm supposed to be able to tap the drive shaft down, so I loosened these top ones obviously too. But I'm supposed to be able to tap the drive shaft down to get that lower sprocket off and eventually remove the drive shaft and sprockets. It says in the manual to actually remove the sprocket retaining bolt here, but I'm not sure that I want to do that if I don't have to, because it's almost, look, I can't apply heat because I don't want to melt the plastic. Well, a bit of a shit show trying to get the drive shaft out of here. You're supposed to loosen off the set screws on the lower chain sprocket in there, and loosen off the bearing plates, bearing flanges, top and down here and up here. And then you're supposed to drive the shaft out enough to get out the sprocket, and even more to get this far end out. But I could get it to move about a 1/2 inch, but it wouldn't move anymore, even though I reefed on it pretty hard. So I was worried about that. So, and then I tried to get it to go back in to where it was, and I couldn't. I decided to take these off entirely and pried it out of this end. It would have been easier from the get-go if I had not pushed the shaft through at all and instead had pried it, just because it was almost flush with the top of this. But anyway, I'm sure once I figure out, get a better idea how this thing works and why that shaft is not moving. So here's the front drive shaft, and this is the chain side. You can see the brackets that hold the bearing. There was a gasket on the chain case side, and pretty straightforward. Not sure how the heck this was supposed to drive through though, given that this on the right side of the machine, this thing here, it's got a set screw, it looks like, maybe an Allen key to loosen it off, but it's not clear how to me you're supposed to drive this through with that there. So I'm a bit confused. Unfortunately, this the sprockets on this side here, there's the proper bolt holding it on, But on this side here, there's no bolt. And you can see that, for example, there is badly cracked. So that is far from ideal. Need to get some new ones, I guess. I mean, you could use some of that fancy 3M plastic glue and put a muffler clamp on that. And look at the big crack. So, but a muffler clamp seems like it would work well there. I put an R, right, L for left for the track. So on the lower sprocket here, there's the set screw side, the outside of the machine. Toward the inside, there's this little spacer. The carriage bolts holding on the bearing flanges, the brackets, are longer on the chain case side of the drive shaft. The chain case also had sort of a gasket thing at the top here, pad gasket. I mean, it had various gaskets at the bottom here. It also looked like it had some kind of sealant that was holding that broken piece of rubber on. I mean, this thing's got gear oil in it, so I guess you want it to be water and oil proof, which will be a bit of a challenge given that the rubber is so badly broken. At the front of the chain case cover, there was a piece of rubber here that was protecting the chain case, I guess, from this sharp edge for vibration or something. I don't know. All right, going to start dismantling the front part here, get rid of as much as I can from the body. So first thing would be take out the handlebars, which are totally seized up. Couple 5/16 here. I think the handlebars meant, this is this bracket here, it's meant to spin inside that and spin inside this lower part here. There's a cotter pin here to take out. So this will loosen up this bracket attachment to this thing, which is welded in place, so I can't take it out. And then it's good. This is all seized up, so this whole piece from here up is got to come up, I think. So that should be a bit of fun, but we can use as much heat as we want. Here's one of the gaskets here for where the chain case goes on. So I'll take that off so I can use it to measure up a new one. Handlebar ski motion, it's freed up down in here already. This one here is still really stiff. Have to free it up. Going to take off these the engine mounting brackets here. Front and back look like they're the same. There's pieces of rubber underneath them. So I'm not going to use heat to get these bolts off. Instead, I'll just turn them off. They're going to break, I'm sure. I would definitely imagine this one already broke. I put a new one in. So I'll just put in new ones all the way around. Oh yeah, I forgot. These bolts here holding on the engine are, the nuts are actually welded onto the bottom of the frame here. This one here I put on top of the old nut, which I kind of ground off a bit, but hopefully I can get this one off without breaking. But otherwise there is a welded nut that one has to deal with. So where the handlebars went into this hole here, there was actually a steel washer right below this tube here, and the cotter pin went in below that. This thing here, as I pulled the handlebars out, basically bent a couple times here and is about ready to snap off. So I'm taking off the Ski Whiz rubber flap at the back here. One of the bolts was already broken off. I broken off another one. So I'm just going to turn these and probably break them off. Put new ones in. I think until I learn more about how to take off skis, I'm going to leave this here as is, the ski device on both sides. I guess I'll take off all the handles and everything, side handles, back handle, front handle. I'll try using heat, see if I can get the carriage bolts off. Otherwise, I guess I'll just snap them. So, at the rear of the sled here, there's this thing which the tread, the rubber runs on top of these. So I'm going to take them off. There's a bushing there. It seems like it should be able to rotate. But the way it was, it's just cranked down on it, so it can't actually rotate. It seems like it'd be good to rotate, but maybe it doesn't matter.